Hallelujah, we are all safe because Russia has the vaccine. Also, 500,000 people have showed up in Belarus to protest against the dictatorship. Meanwhile, in Chicago, protesters are getting kettled by the police, and horny cops in Tennessee rip off masks from people's faces. In sports, Bayern Munich has completely dominated Barcelona, and recently a video has resurfaced online from last year NBA Finals, which proves that black men are allowed on the pitch only if they're holding a basketball. My name is Paolo, and let's see what happened last week. Russian President Vladimir, aka Dracula, aka Botox Face, aka Dr. Evil, claims that Russia has the first vaccine in the world. No, not that one. Already registered and ready for consumption. If you're lucky, you can find it under your Christmas tree, so you can finally go on that vacation and get drunk in a different country. It's not that simple though. As we know, there are 3 stages of vaccine development. Phase 1. You get 20 to 100 volunteers to check whether the vaccine does at least something and has the right dosage and doesn't kill them on the spot. Phase 2. You get a few hundred volunteers and check for common side effects and general response from the immune system at a more detailed level. Phase 3. You have 100,000 people with blind A/B trials against the placebo that measures the safety and efficiency of the vaccine across multiple demographics. Now granted, we are in a bit of a rush and need to cut corners, so instead of 100,000, scientists would probably settle at 10,000 or so before they even claim anything. For Russia, 38 people is enough to announce the miracle vaccine to the world, register the drug, and start manufacturing it at a large scale. On top of that, those 38 people have experienced a total of 144 side effects of various intensity, from which 31 side effects stayed with the patients during the trial. However, Putin did claim that his daughter has received the vaccine. Now we know which daughter he loves more. Probably went like this. Nadia, honey, come here. Daddy has a surprise for you. What do you want? I don't want more gold. I have too much. I have nowhere to put it. No, it's not that. Look. Drugs? So boring. I'm tired of them anyway. No, this is the first vaccine in the world and it's yours. We have 100 million of poor people in Russia. Why don't you try it on them? Nadia, why are you complaining? We all making sacrifices to the motherland. You sacrifice your health. I sacrifice my daughter. It's not easy, but we all make sacrifice. Okay, so if it's so safe and efficient, why didn't Putin himself use it? Sounds like a cheap political move to boost his approval and claim the #1 prize at the school science fair. Mind you, this claim of the first vaccine is coming from a country that also claims some of its regions have no gay people, that they simply don't exist there. So they don't really have the best track record when it comes to factual information. If you have seen my last video or heard about it in the news, Belarus is currently experiencing major protests across the country in an attempt to overthrow their dictator who was in power for the last 26 years, since 1994, Alexander Lukashenko. The protests are only getting bigger every day. On Sunday, August the 16th, between 150,000 by conservative estimates to 500,000 people have gathered in Minsk, which is the capital of Belarus and has 2 million people by itself. So here's the footage.
Я просто туда уже больше не могу снять. Там тоже люди.
Let me remind you that, according to the government data, 80% of the country has voted for Lukashenko. Where those 80% of the people are, nobody knows. Lukashenko did create an alternative protest with his supporters, where, according to the government, 65,000 people have gathered, whilst independent newspapers have reported close to 20,000. Don't forget about the police though. These protests were possible only because their scale has grown so much that it wouldn't be possible to stop them without actually murdering people in huge numbers. So they had to back down on that Saturday. But let me tell you what the hell was going on just a few days before. People were brutally beat up to the extent that they couldn't walk. Many were forced to sleep on the street at night whilst in handcuffs or were packed inside a car. Many people have literally pissed themselves as the police did not allow them to use the bathroom. There were also multiple reports of rape, attempted rape, as well as irreversible injuries to the genitals, all done by the police. Sickening. One of the presidential polling station observers, Konstantin Shishmakov, who refused to sign that everything was counted correctly in the election, was found dead in a river a few days later. At least 70 people have gone missing, completely evaporating from the planet. In response to this, some of the officers and army people have quit their job, and ex-officers, both military and police, started posting videos of them tearing apart their uniform, burning it, or simply trashing it. Americans are still protesting against the police brutality and racial inequality. And rightfully so. This is what defines a real democracy. If government screws you over, you can demand change. I mean, how hard can it be? Just arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor in her sleep and people would stop protesting. But no, let's just beat everybody up because that worked so well in the past. So in Chicago, police has used a tactic known as kettling, which is illegal. Basically, you surround a group of protesters from all four directions. They have nowhere to go. The crazy part here is that after they surrounded the protesters, they told them to disperse. Like, bruh, they're just taking the piss at this point. Where do you want me to disperse to? Rise up into the air? So police ended up tear gassing and beating people. Let's have a look at the agitators. They have complete disregard for human life and enjoy being in control and dominating people whilst being protected by the law, innocent even if proven guilty. There was also a viral video of people who were stuck on the bridge. Some claim that they were protesters who were running away from the police. Some claim they were just adrenaline junkies. We cannot tell for sure which it was, so here's the clip.
Chicago.
Hell yeah, brother.
Woo! We're just chilling.
On a bridge. It's raised.
Anyhow, if a city feels like they need to raise bridges every single night, something is awfully wrong. Not too far from Chicago, a police officer in Tennessee has assaulted a man and ripped his mask off. For absolutely no reason, simply because our trooper here was high on power. He was terminated and is currently under an investigation, but will probably receive a good compensation and pension. This is our hero today, Harvey Briggs. If you're wondering why it looks like a selfie that old people take when they first have their phone, there is a good explanation for that. Our trooper was so overwhelmed by his extreme passion for the man with the camera so much that he ripped off the man's mask in an attempt to suck his tongue out. That's not why it happened, but it's fun to think about.
Because that's the way it always is.
Okay. You're not wearing a mask? And you're right up in my face? Look at this. What the fuck is your friend doing over here?
Do not impede them.
I'm not
understand?
impeding. What? Briggs? Oh, you're Briggs. Oh
Yes,
my
I am.
God. Yeah, okay. What the fuck?
Don't impede
You
those
gonna do
officers.
something about that? You just ripped the fucking mask off my face.
Come on.
What the fuck?
Oh, come on. I can't even think of something funny to add because it just wouldn't be as ridiculous as the video itself. Now, this is a white guy. Imagine if it was a black dude. Shit, he'd probably just get arrested for being black on a Friday. This officer straight up denied that he ripped off the mask while he was recorded on video. He forgot it wasn't 1968 anymore and that people have cameras. Now, at least in the USA, the police then don't take your phone away. In Belarus, they straight up say you'll be raped with a baton if you don't give up your password. So, American police are not as bad as, let's say, China, Russia, Belarus, or Venezuela. But is this really a contest that we want to have? It's like having a kindest terrorist award or sweetest serial killer trophy if you're on that list to begin with. It's a huge red flag. I appreciate that protesters in USA don't get straight up kidnapped and raped like in Belarus, but you're supposed to be the leader of the free world, America, so get your shit together. A lot of people who want to become officers do it out of the right reasons. They want to protect, they want to serve, fight actual criminals and dangerous people. But then another big part of the workforce is there because they're simply twisted, sadistic, power-hungry savages. They enjoy putting down people, dominating people, assaulting them both psychologically and physically, all protected by the law. So here's a suggestion for those of you cops who fit that description. How about you channel your energy into something where both you and the other person can enjoy it? The best part, you don't even have to buy a Halloween costume for someone's fetish. Just show up in your government-issued gear. Even better, if you're so much into beating harmless civilians, just sign up to your local BDSM club. You get a kick out of it, they get a kick out of it, everybody's happy. Talking about BDSM, have you seen Bayern Munich play against Barcelona? 8-2. Barcelona fans yell seem awfully quiet. It's like a ghost town, babe. Their coach wasn't pleased since he knew he'd be fired after this performance, which he was. And I have exclusive footage from their locker room.
Gebertirim lan sizi. Ağzını sikinin ilk neleri. Sırım oynadım topumu amına koyup. Ve yüzünden ağzını yüzünü sikerim sen verdiğim emeklere lan. Ne lan bu rezalet?
Pretty ridiculous, hey? Especially if you know about the pre-match conference and comments from Arturo Vidal, who looks like a washed up Walmart version for Mr. T. They are playing against Barca, not against teams from Bundesliga. They are playing against the best team in the world. Here, take this L, mister. You have been introduced to the German Übermaschine, who, by the way, have taken the title as of the time of recording this video and won the Champions League of 2020. For those who don't follow football, or as some people call it soccer, it's the equivalent of last year Raptors beating Golden State Warriors 120-40. Talking about Raptors, who won the NBA last year, recently a video has resurfaced. When Raptors took the title last year, right after the final buzzer, the president of the club, Masai Ujiri, has ran towards his team to congratulate them and celebrate the win. And everyone was joyous and lived happily ever after. Except that Masai isn't white, he's kinda black. President of the NBA 2019 title winners was abruptly stopped as he was showing his credentials to prove that a black man in a suit also belongs in the NBA. But that wasn't enough for the Slave Patrol deputy, Alan Strickland, so he forcefully pushed Masai twice, after which Masai has pushed back. Side note, if you don't think this is about race, you've been living under a rock for the last few hundred years. Long story short, Masai was allowed to reunite with his team, and our snowflake deputy left outraged. Now, if Masai Ujiri was not in a suit, surrounded by thousands of witnesses and cameras from all angles, he'd face criminal charges and go to jail. Thankfully, the district attorney decided not to push for criminal charges. You're so sweet. But the story doesn't end there. Alan Strickland, aka Olaf from Frozen, is so fragile that he sued a jury for $75,000, claiming he has suffered from direct, quote, injury to his head, body, health, strength, nervous system, and person, which continue to cause great mental, physical, emotional, and psychological pain and suffering. I do believe that he has his head injured, but it definitely happened way before this event took place. You have to be brain dead to sue somebody with those types of accusations in a stadium with hundreds of cameras everywhere. This is not a helpless teenager in an alley with no proof. It's NBA Finals, you silly goose. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this episode, which featured a few more events around the world. So please hit that subscribe button on YouTube, follow on Instagram, and tell me what you think about these events in the comments. Again, it's huge help if you could share this video with your friends and family. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.